So, for starters, could you please introduce yourself and what do you do, not
Sure.
here, but in general?
In general, yeah. So hi, I'm Anya Combs. I'm the tabletop account manager at BackerKit, although I just like to say games because all games matter. I've been in the games industry for 15, almost 16 years, which is terrifying to think about, yeah. I got my start in Flash games at addictinggames.com oh so long ago. I then worked for Nickelodeon for a number of years. I worked at Kickstarter for a very long time. I was the director of games there for a number of years. I left a year and a month ago, roughly. And I've been at BackerKit since April of 2022. So we do pledge management and marketing for crowdfunding projects. And we just opened a crowdfunding site for folks to use our services to do everything: crowdfunding, pledge management, and marketing.
Yeah, so a lot actually happened since you last time came and visit, reboot. Yeah. Do you enjoy it? Have you seen any other changes or upgrades? What is it like for you to be here on the conference?
Yeah, the conference is so much bigger than the last time I was here. There's a lot more people. There's a lot of new faces, which I think is really exciting. I love being able to see folks I haven't seen for 5 years at this point and having that time to catch up. But it's also so great, like having access to a part of the world and people who live in that part of the world that otherwise we wouldn't have access to. Not everybody can afford things like GDC. I can't necessarily always go to Gamescom. So having a centralized location to have those opportunities to meet people that maybe their email, I missed their email, but having that face-to-face connection, being able to go, oh, right, okay, I know who that person is.
Yeah, I've seen that there has been a lot of talk with accessibility for Games Developer Conference. Yeah. So it kind of became like, this is like what? A boutique experience, yeah. Everyone can enjoy it. What about your talk today, your presentation? Are you excited for it? What was it like for you to write it down? Or is it mostly, since you're a very experienced veteran in the game dev industry, was it like a child's play for you, or are you still trembling a bit, the positive
yeah. So today I have two panels. I just did a panel at 12:30 about PR, and I don't work in PR, so that was kind of fun. I came at it from more of a guerrilla community management style of things, which was really cool and exciting, just having that opportunity to meet, again, new people. I'm doing a panel today about are board games going to kill the video game industry, to talk about just the rise of board games and the board game revolution that's been happening over the last couple of years. Tomorrow we're doing a WTF, it's 2023, why do we still have to do this, which is all about safety for femme presenting and other marginalized folks at events, holding people accountable for their actions and calling out problematic behavior when we see it, and sort of talking about what that looks like, because it's 2023 and it's unfortunate. Yeah, there has been the roofie situation at GD,
yeah.
At GDC, yeah. So we want to talk about that. We want folks to listen and sort of, it's easy to stand by the sidelines and say that's unfortunate, but how do you get involved in a way that also doesn't compromise your own safety? So that'll be good. And then my solo talk is all about the video games to board game pipeline. It's the first time I'm ever doing this talk, so I'm pretty nervous about it. It's dense, there's a lot of data and a lot of information, so I'm trying to see how I can make that fun and entertaining. But I find that speaking to a European audience is so different than an American audience.
I've seen that we've been told a bit more relaxed and happy go-to.
I think the American audience, they expect you to be on, right? There's a performance that's really associated with it. And I found that a lot of European audiences, especially German audiences, it's so funny, they want facts and they want figures and information. And so I kind of like the challenge of finding that balance between the two spaces of entertainment, fun, and exciting, because that's also how people remember information. But then also giving the information is sometimes a little bit distilled. But I like the challenge of finding what makes sense for that balance.
Yeah. So what about your previous work? We also wanted to ask you about the Kickstarter, because for our audiences, it's kind of a new old territory. It's right. More of a, okay, we now have board games and video games. So what was it like? Do you have now the nose for some stuff, or is it, borderline, okay, you don't know, the time will tell, or what the market will tell? What would you like to say about it?
The market about crowdfunding, or just games in general?
Crowdfunding campaigns mostly.
Yeah.
So.
You know, crowdfunding is in a really interesting place right now. For board games, there's 3 options really for primary funding platforms. There's Kickstarter, there's GameFound, and there's BackerKit. I think the upside of having the 3 different platform opportunities is it gives creators more of a choice to find the crowdfunding experience that they want. Sometimes it's not always Kickstarter, sometimes it's not always GameFound, and sometimes it's not always BackerKit. So being able to take your project to a crowdfunding platform that makes sense for you and having the option to have 3 different, like, very lucrative options, that's such a great place for crowdfunding to be in. It does mean that sometimes the platforms look at their numbers and say, oh, our numbers are down. But ultimately, like, I think that's better for the industry because it allows people to pick what they want. It means that more games are going to be made and more projects are going to be funded in the long run. For video games, I don't really know what the relationship for video games and crowdfunding is at this point. I know that it's still there, it still exists. It's very small, we're talking very, very small projects. And really, most people are using crowdfunding for marketing purposes, which is fine. I don't think there's an issue with that. But I think what that speaks to is that there's so many different funding options that are out there. There's Robot Teddy, there's Zola, there's the traditional publisher route. There's more publishers than ever, which is like actually really cool. So it's not just these like big 3 publishers that publish your game. You have so many bespoke experiences. Devolver, Raw Fury's here, Armor Games. There's just endless amounts of funding opportunities. So crowdfunding just fits into sort of the like more of the ecosystem of what funding is as an option, but also understanding that crowdfunding for video games is not going to be all-encompassing of your project and using it as a facet to make sure that you can fund fully.
Is it because I've seen, there have been plenty of smaller games that were really boosted with that?
Yeah.
And what about the times when they just don't manage? So do people think it's a lost money that you gave something away like for $5 or whatever your pledge is? Mm-hmm. Or do people still believe in it? Or
I think that people still believe in it, and I think it's a little bit of a misnomer to say that there's a misconception that projects just don't come out, right? For tabletop games, it makes a lot of sense as to why that relationship is so symbiotic. One, I need X amount of money, I go to Kickstarter, I go to GameFound, I go to BackerKit, I make that money, I make the thing, right? You've done all of that pricing structure ahead of time, so coming out with it makes it a lot easier. There's more challenges with that than ever just in terms of shipping and production costs, but you can anticipate some of that when you build that into your funding amount. For video games, it's a whole different ballgame. You're talking about tech, you're talking about equipment, you're talking about time. It takes so much more time to make a video game than a board game. It takes years, right?
Yeah, years, not only months or weeks, just years.
I mean, famously, I think God of War took like 10 years to make, right? Like it takes so long to make a video game. So if it takes 10 years to make this giant, behemoth of a game, it's probably gonna take 3 to 5 years for like a smaller indie experience, right? And you wanna have that time to make sure that you get it right. So it's not so much that the projects don't come out, it's that they're usually delayed, which everyone experiences. It's incredibly common. And 2, the biggest thing that I see is that the project isn't necessarily what was originally pitched. Handful of reasons as to why that is. Sometimes the publisher gets involved, sometimes you had to like rescope what the process is. As long as you're communicating to your backers, that's totally fine. But that's all to say, well, the projects don't come out. I think it's only about 10% of that is true. 9 to 10% of that is true.
So what is it like for you right now? So you've left the Kickstarter. What are you doing for the past years? There are some other NDA stuff, or you can tell us what was it like for you to, just because what happened throughout the year? Do you have any projects that you're really, really looking forward to, or are you taking more of a leap of faith to pursue either talking to people and educating people what they should and shouldn't do when they're talking to humans?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I left Kickstarter in March of 2022, and then I started at BackerKit as a full-time employee in April of 2022. I'm in a little bit of an interesting space with BackerKit where I was hired for one job and that job is shifting. So I'm definitely excited to kind of see what that job ends up being. But the things that I hold dear, which is like trying to help people and elevating creators, understanding that developers are artists at the end of the day, and speaking to people, the things that I love doing. I haven't stopped doing any of that. It's quieted down as in years past, but also like from 2020 to 2022, like I grew as a person. We all kind of all did, and I've had to like
fun times.
Yeah, I've done a little bit of reflection, and I don't think I really want to do the road warrior status of going to every event and speaking at every event. So I think I've been really lucky to be afforded the opportunity to kind of like pick and choose where I go. Like I'm so thankful to be at a part of my career where I have that opportunity to do that, and I get to do more interesting talks. Like, not that I didn't like doing the talks about Kickstarter, but being able to talk about like things that are a little bit more personal to me, I think has been like, I'm really looking forward to doing that. I don't really know what the future holds, to be honest. Yeah, but like I'm kind of excited. I can kind of feel in my bones that I'm on the precipice of something different, and I don't entirely know what that is, but that's also like one of the most exciting places to be in, because it's probably going to be something cool. So we'll kind of see what happens.
Yeah, so for that last question, do you have some advices or tips or tricks, or what would you say to the broader audience, to people either who want to start in game dev or still in game dev, but they're kind of lost because of the bro mentality that's very persistent still nowadays?
Yeah. That's a big question. I don't think I can just answer that in one sentence or even one paragraph. I think the question of, what I'm hearing in that question is, what do I do when I feel lost, right? I'm trying to do something and it's maybe not working. I think it's important to do a lot of self-reflection. If you're brand new to game dev, there's so many resources. There's endless amounts of resources, more than ever. There's Discords that you can join, get on social media, start talking to people, build a community of people that you want to be around and who want to be around you to help elevate you, support you, you know, have those tough conversations sometimes, right? Like if we show someone a piece of our work and art and it's not liked, ask people for feedback. Don't just expect a yes or a no. Build that community. For people that are currently in game dev that are looking to maybe like elevate, advance, kind of, you know, do something new and different, same sort of principles apply here. Find a community of people that are going to be honest and direct and authentic with you, and continue to grow as a creator. This industry is very small. We all kind of know each other to a certain degree, and we've all heard great and bad stories about people. So as long as you're able to like do that self-reflection of, okay, what is it that I really want to do, and how do I make those connections happen that are real and authentic, and I have actual like friendships with people, you're going to be fine. And sometimes that just takes time. You never know who you're going to meet and what that's going to lead to. I met Demir, who runs this conference, because I was randomly at Gamescom, and I've only been to Gamescom once, and somehow I got invited to go to the Croatian booth, and now I've been to this conference 4 times out of just like randomly meeting a person at Gamescom.
You found your leprechaun, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, thank you for your time. Have fun presenting stuff.
Thank you.
Looking forward to chit-chats with our people and you, and seeing the feedback from your presentation.
Yeah, thank you for chatting with me today. I appreciate it.